Hello and a warm welcome to this special conversation. With us here in our studios is someone who has worn many hats in his life, journalist turned bureaucrat and now turned author, come thinker, leads his brand to several campaigns across the country, whether it is reinterpretation, reimagination of Hindutva, or most significantly, his entire war against pornography in India. Uday Mahurkar is our guest in the studio today. Great pleasure for us to have you, Uday bhai. उदय भाई, मैंने अभी एक मैसेज देखा आपका, बड़ा चर्चा में है कि आपने जो सावरकर पे किताब लिखी, नाउ दैट बुक इज बीइंग ट्रांसलेटेड इनटू उर्दू. यू नो व्हाट माय प्रोड्यूसर्स आर टेलिंग मी, दे आर सेइंग ये तो इनहेरेंट कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन है कि सावरकर पे किताब लिखी उदय महूरकर ने, एंड दैट बुक इज नाउ बीइंग ट्रांसलेटेड इनटू उर्दू. हाउ इज दैट पॉसिबल?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि सावरकर हैज बीन द मोस्ट रिवाइल्ड पर्सन इन दिस कंट्री, एटलीस्ट इन द लास्ट 20 years. So this book brings out the true Savarkar without, covering up his mistakes. Correct? So this book proves that Savarkar's fight was for equal treatment for all. It was not for special treatment for Hindus. This book very conclusively proves he was fighting radical Islamists. He was fighting Muslim appeasement. Correct? But then, in his vision of Hindu Rashtra, there was equal space for all religions and all castes. It is there on paper.
But how is it? Because most of the literature that you go through, and I've looked at articles in periodicals like, let's say, Navjeevan, right? I have looked at books which have been written by the likes of Savarkar, The Making of Hindutva, which have been written by another well-known author, Janki Bhakle, right? The sense one gets, Uday bhai, the sense one gets is that सावरकर जी ना, वो एक्चुअली कन्विंस थे इस बात से कि मुसलमान समाज और हिंदू समाज ये दो अलग समाज हैं और ये दोनों कभी एक साथ नहीं रह सकते. इसलिए उन्होंने बहुत पहले, स्वतंत्रता से पहले, पाकिस्तान के सृजन से पहले ही उन्होंने ऐसे कार्य करने शुरू कर दिए थे कि मुसलमानों से निपटने के लिए, उनको काउंटर करने के लिए एक मैकेनिज्म तैयार रहे. क्या ये सावरकर को एंटी मुस्लिम नहीं बनाता क्या?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. I will answer this with a question, If that is the fact, then how come in his Hindu manifesto, it is written, or it says, that there will be equal space for all castes and religions in Hindu Rashtra? Should anybody try to hinder the puja archana of Christians or Muslims, the state will step in and ensure that they are able to offer their prayers.
But the premises of Hindu Rashtra.
But the state will not allow creation of a nation within a nation in the name of religious minoritism. This is what he was fighting against.
No, but that's what I'm trying to understand. And it's good that you brought our attention to this. You see, his preamble, unka premise jo tha, premise was to recognize India as a Hindu Rashtra, first and foremost. If you recognize India as a Hindu Rashtra, and that's the kind of politics which is at play even today, right? Don't you think inherently then, if you're a Muslim or you're a Christian or whoever, any other community other than a Hindu community, do you not get relegated?
No, that is your lack of understanding about the concept of Hindu Rashtra. Hindu Rashtra is an inclusive concept. Muslim nation is an exclusive concept, as you can see in Pakistan today. Hindu Rashtra, you have to just take the example of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He defeated Muslim rulers, brought lot of area under him. He allowed their practices to continue. Like there were what you call Muslim courts in villages. Correct? He allowed them. So that is the concept of Hindu Rashtra. Respect for all religions is the concept of Hindu Rashtra. But Hindu Rashtra will not tolerate appeasement in the name of religious minoritism. So, in effect, what Hindu Rashtra would mean? It would mean that the kind of conversions which were taking place by Christian groups today, by sometimes against constitutional, they are against constitution. Many of them, if you look at the conversion mafia today in the country, they are misleading the poor tribals and poor Dalits.
Who was Savarkar? Because there is
that would not happen in Hindu Rashtra. Conversion, appeasement, Article 30 won't be there. Your your Waqf Act won't be there. Correct? But there would be equal space for Muslims. If there is a selection process for selecting, say, bureaucrats, there will be no discrimination. That is Hindu Rashtra.
But that's what, I mean, obviously, you know, the thing about history is that we can keep interpreting it and reinterpreting it. Is it also not true that, you know, post the Quit India movement, when it came to the formation of the Indian army, which is the British Indian army, was there a fear that Savarkar had that there would be more Muslims in that army of that time period, and therefore he made an open call for Hindus?
Which Muslims?
Indian
Muslims were under the spell of Muslim League at that time.
Yes, yes.
You know the 1945 voting pattern?
Yes.
1945 voting pattern, if you go by that, the voting was less. I think Hindu voting was 25%, Muslim voting was 20%. The voting which took place for the Central Assembly as well as for the provincial assemblies, correct? How many of the 20% voted for Muslim League? 87%. So when Savarkar saw in 1938 that Muslim League is purposely trying to ensure that more Muslims join the army, because they could see, only Congress could not see the future coming. Savarkar could see and Jinnahs could see, correct? So they were trying to push Muslims into the army. At that time, he took up this campaign,
position that let there be more Hindus coming in.
Yes.
That is what I'm trying to
No, that saved India. Had at the time of partition, had the number of Muslims being more. I'm not saying all Muslims were anti-Hindustan, but majority of them were.
No, we are only trying to understand this story in the context of Savarkar's view.
There were people like Brigadier Usman, a great war hero, I would say, for India, you know. So there were people like that, but they were less.
But are you of the view?
And also, most of the Muslims were from today's Pakistan.
No, so
in
that's
the Indian army at that time.
So Uday bhai, what I'm trying to understand is that in your view and in your understanding of Savarkar, because you've written a whole book on him, do you think Savarkar himself was of the view at the time of independence that a majority of Muslims at that time were against India and maybe in favor of Pakistan?
Why Savarkar? Even Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel's 1948 speech in Calcutta, he says it
very openly.
No, the figures say that. No, let us look at it very, very realistically.
Yes.
Now, 20% out of 20%, 87% voted for Muslim League in that election, 45 election, correct? Now, let us say 100% Muslims had voted. I don't say then, even then, the percentage would have been 87%, you know. But then it is very clear that majority of the Muslims wanted Pakistan. It is very clear from this percentage. So, you understand what I am saying? I am saying, had 100 people voted, 100% voted, I am saying that even then the percentage would have been 87%. But it would have been at least 60%.
At that time?
Yes.
Right. So, whether it was Savarkar or it was Sardar Patel, you're saying the view was the same, right? Now, do I then read that actually Savarkar and Jinnah were mirror images of each other? That Savarkar knew what was coming and therefore he was planning accordingly. No, and Jinnah was looking for a situation which would have pushed India in that direction.
Savarkar was trying to prevent partition. That is what
was he in favor of partition? Was he against partition?
No, my book is on that. How he could have prevented partition. My book is on that.
Yes, which is being translated.
I'll give you 2-3 examples. In 1938, Savarkar as Hindu Mahasabha president went to Punjab, Lahore. And he was asked by reporters, why you and Jinnah are bent upon dividing the nation along communal lines. What was his reply? He said, your question itself is faulty. I am for equal treatment for all. Jinnah wants special treatment for Muslims at the cost of Hindu rights. It's a wrong question. Then in 1939, in 39 or 41, a set of Muslims in Lucknow, they passed a resolution कि जो भी मुसलमान गौ हत्या करेगा वो हिंदू मुस्लिम एकता का विरोधी गिना जाएगा.
Right.
Savarkar immediately issued a statement. If such gestures keep on coming from Muslim community, Hindu-Muslim unity is possible. And wrote a personal letter to the leader of those Muslims in Lucknow, telling them, look here, there are many riots these days, when Muslim Hindus pass processions from near the mosque. In response to your genuine feelings, I also assure that I will try to convince Hindus that they should not deliberately try to pass the procession from near a mosque. So how genuine he was.
It's a very interesting contradiction actually, and Savarkar's life, I think, captures it beautifully. मैं नवजीवन का एक लेख छपा था, उसमें से एक ऑपरेटिव में पार्ट अगर मैं पढ़ूं और मैं चाहूंगा कि आप उस पर रिस्पॉन्ड करें. सावरकर ने स्वीकार किया, ऐसा नवजीवन में लिखा है, कि बंगाल में मुस्लिम लीग के नेतृत्व में गठित मंत्रिमंडल में हिंदू महासभा के दूसरे सबसे बड़े नेता डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी मंत्रिमंडल में उप मुख्य थे. मुखर्जी के अधीन ही वो मंत्रालय था जिसके जिम्मे भारत छोड़ो आंदोलन का दमन करना था. इस समय हिंदू महासभा लेड बाय सावरकर और मुस्लिम लीग की साझा सरकार बंगाल में और सिंध के अलावा उत्तर पश्चिम सीमा प्रांत में भी थी. सावरकर अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस आर्टिकल मुस्लिम लीग के वो साथ थे उस वक्त. वो
it's a known thing, you know.
Yes.
And Savarkar has
So therefore I'm trying to understand, ये सब known था
a
तो
statement justifying his action. He says where there all hope lost of protecting Hindu interest.
तो
Then
मुसलमान
you
के
can
साथ
join them also. Yes. He said he calls it responsive cooperation.
responsive cooperation.
Yes.
So ये अब अगर आप वहां से सावरकर की जीवनी को आप if you put it in the context of the way we look at Savarkar in 2025, have we still understood Savarkar? Because otherwise the whole debate around Savarkar is did he apologize to the British or not?
Divide Savarkar's actions from his statements. He had this habit of reacting very strongly. So there are statements of him, you know, which would project him as very anti-Muslim. But then what does his Hindu manifesto say? You know, he never disowned that manifesto till the end. Correct? So he was for equal rights for all. That is what the manifesto says. But it says that Hindu Rashtra will not allow, the nation will not allow creation of a nation within a nation in the name of religious minoritism. That has been the story of India in the first 60 years. Where is the question?
So,
thousands of temples were destroyed during the medieval period. Don't you think that when India was becoming independent after a gap of maybe 700 years, we should have got these 3 temples at least, which is Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi?
So, in 2025, do you think the debate around Savarkar still has been settled? Because as I said at the beginning, it's quite interesting that Savarkar, who so far has been sort of vilified as being anti-Muslim, आप ही की किताब जो आपने लिखी है जहां पर आप एक अलग एक प्रश्न उनका पक्ष दिखा रहे हैं, that book is now being translated into Urdu now. So is there a move you see which is now on in 2025 even within the Muslim community to re-understand Savarkar?
Difficult to say, but then this translation has been done by National Council for Promotion of Urdu Language, which is a body under Ministry of Education. Correct? Like Sangeet Natak Academy and other academies, you know. So let us see how the response is. But then I remember there is one gentleman called Jafar Shareshwala, very famous.
Yes, of course.
So he read my article stating these facts, you know, in 2019, and he called me up. He said, "Uday bhai, ye sahi hai ye?" "हाँ, सही है." तो यार फिर सोचना पड़ेगा इसके बारे में. He said that.
मतलब we don't
Now
know.
you see, Gandhi also called Muslims bully. Gandhi once called Muslims bully, gunda. Correct? So, you see, whether you go by those statements or by their actions, by their core beliefs. You know, Savarkar's Hindutva book, much vilified book. What does the last page say? Last page says that when a situation comes where Hindus will dictate terms to the entire world, those terms won't be different from what has been said in Gita or what has been said by Gautam Buddha. This is the last page of Savarkar's Hindutva. Acha. In that book, he gives space to Akbar and Darashikoh also.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, you have to, the only way to interpret leaders is to be truthful.
So therefore,
rising above ideology.
No, so
if you're truthful,
you will rise
if
above.
you believe in true nation first, true nation first, then you can you can evaluate in any leader honestly.
So in your understanding, was Savarkar not in support of two nation theory because he didn't want separation of India?
He fought for
United India. But within this united India, he was of the view that the Muslims were completely different from India. I mean, completely different from Hindus.
He said that. But then many, when many statements which are being, attributed to him, they are selective statements, Like that, for his first speech as Hindu Mahasabha. One more thing I want to bring before the nation, that Savarkar, when he got free from all restrictions under the British, he decided to enter politics. Correct? So, Subhash Chandra Bose, Achyutrao Patwardhan, and S.M. Joshi, these three Congress leaders, invited him to join Congress because they were having a fight, I think, with Gandhiji on the issue of complete non-violence, where Savarkar and these people were one. Correct? So, what Savarkar said? Savarkar said, no, I will not join Congress because Congress is indulging in Muslim appeasement at the cost of Hindu rights. And it has gone so far ahead on this path that it is difficult for Congress to retrace its steps. Therefore, he decided to join Hindu Mahasabha, a very small party. Not that he was in agreement with every principle of Hindu Mahasabha, because he was a social reformer, you know, correct? So, he decided to join Hindu Sabha because he thought that Hindu Mahasabha is the only party which is not compromising on Hindu rights. And one more thing. Savarkar is a great leader in the history of this country, You see, the idea of Pakistan was visualized by Sir Muhammad Iqbal in the 1930 Muslim League Convention at Prayagraj, at Allahabad. He said that I see in future a separate nation for Muslims of India in today's Sindh, Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province and Balochistan. Practically, if you leave aside Indian Punjab, he had visualized this in 1930. Right. In 1932, Rehmat Ali Chaudhry, a Gujjar Muslim from Punjab, Indian Punjab, he circulated a paper in the second roundtable conference among Muslim participants, now or never. This is the right time to demand a separate nation for Indian Muslims. Otherwise, we won't ever get it.
So all that
in that he used the word Pakistan, correct? And the Pakistan scheme was given shape by Jinnah. Now it wasn't, the word Pakistan was in public domain from 1932 onwards. It was only Savarkar who could see the threat in 1936.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
When Sindh was detached from Mumbai province, that time he said the die is cast.
Sir, but Bhuj, मैं यही तो आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ. Then don't you think that the very argument that you're making, that Savarkar was not in favor of partition of India, if he had seen something as early as 1932 and he started taking all these actions, right? Whether it was joining hands with Muslim League, where he thought that maybe the Hindus were getting, were not really coming in the fore, or asking greater number of Hindus to join the military, join the military.
So he was playing Chanakya Niti, what you call. In the interest of the nation.
To keep the nation together.
Yes.
So while acknowledging...
Now, you say, I'll repeat.
Yes.
That don't go by statements of leaders, Go by actions, Actions, what they have written. Because every person in his life does speak in two voices. Today's people do it for political purpose, but there are honest people, when they feel that what the view they were holding was wrong, they sometimes change their voice, Or do it because of, like during the partition riots. After the partition riots, Savarkar has spoken in very strong language against Muslims, and Muslim League rather. So would you go by that? Or would you go by his Hindu manifesto?
Let me then ask you, Uday, you have such a deep relationship with the BJP. You've seen the Prime Minister right from his days as Chief Minister and even earlier on in your journalistic avatar. Do you think the central government, which has now been in power for 11 years, has the central government really been managed to do service to Savarkar's legacy, or do you think that Savarkar has actually been converted into a very convenient political pawn for the central government to settle scores with the opposition?
You see, what is Savarkar's relevance today? What is my book about? People see him as a revolutionary. We see him as a father of India's national security. Because whatever problems India has faced on the national security front, whether it is Assam, China, internal problems. All these he had predicted 80, 90 years ago. Correct? So, today if you go into this subject as to how the present government is...
how are they understanding him? How are they projecting him? Because sometimes I ask myself this
removal
question.
Of 370 is Savarkar. Naxal problem being reduced to 10 districts from 100 is Savarkar. Opening the doors of Ram Mandir is Savarkar. So this government has been implementing Savarkar's vision very boldly, I would say.
They've done justice, according to you?
Even otherwise, in foreign diplomacy, the way the Prime Minister of India has handled the Trump crisis, the US, I see Savarkar in that. You know, when one very big American journalist came to Savarkar, I think in 1940s, before partition, and asked him, okay, why you are against Pakistan? If Muslims want a different nation, why you are against it? So what was Savarkar's reply? Savarkar said, if Negroes want another different nation in America, will you allow Negrostan?
And this very statement that you're alluding to has often been projected as saying that the status of Muslims in India is the same as the status of Negroes in Nigeria and in African nations. Was that statement correct? Savarkar, you see, this same American journalist that you're talking about, in the article which came subsequently, the argument was that by making this comparison, Savarkar was comparing Muslims to the Negroes of Africa. Would it be a correct way to look at it?
No. He was saying that we cannot allow our country to be partitioned. That was his concern.
So I understand from you, Uday, that actually Savarkar is perhaps one of the most misunderstood,
absolutely
misrepresented political ideologies.
He was far ahead of his times. Indian public life is captive to populism, He was above that. You see, his first biographer, Dhananjay Keer, when Dhananjay Keer went to meet him in 1950, I want to write a book on you and give me all the papers. He said, Keer, think twice. He was very bitter at that time because he was, entangled in the Gandhi murder case. So he said, Keer, think twice. If you write a book on me, then maybe you also become very lonely, Nobody will stand by you. So Dhananjay Keer has written that Savarkar's refusal to join Congress on the invitation of Bose, Achyutrao and Joshi was Rana Pratap-like sacrifice. Because when Akbar sent the invitation to Rana Pratap that you come to Agra, I will put you on the highest pedestal. Correct? But Rana Pratap refused and fought a lonely battle. So he says that had Savarkar with his aura, with his, he had a
big aura, yeah, sure.
So had he joined Congress, there was no position he could not have risen to.
So let me then in conclusion ask you, Uday, that as Indian Muslims in 2025, and as your book now gets, translated into Urdu as well, how should the Indian Muslims be looking at Savarkar then? Do they look at him as a person? I mean, can one say that Savarkar was actually batting for Indian Muslims?
No, you can't say. He was not against Muslims, radical Muslims. He was against radical Muslims. Let us put it that way. He was fighting radical Islamists. He was fighting Muslim appeasement. And let me tell you, you can't forget that 1945 election figures, majority Muslims voted for Muslim League.
Right.
And which was pointed out by even Sardar Patel in a public speech. कि यहाँ पे जो बैठे हैं मुसलमान रातों रात देशभक्त हो गए क्या? He said that.
So if and only
you see, this is a book. If Muslim wants to join the mainstream, a section of Muslims rather, there are many in the mainstream even now. Kashmir has given that assurance to us. The way Kashmiris have grabbed the opportunity which Modi has given them, opening the doors of development. So, but a section of Muslims is certainly under the spell of radical Islamists.
What is the problem?
For them, This is an opportunity to join the mainstream.
How?
And you see, religious reconciliation is not possible without self-introspection.
Do you see that self-introspection happening within the
I
Muslim
hope so.
community?
I hope so.
Is that the problem, that there is no self-introspection within the Muslim community today, which, we keep
Certainly.
seeing these things?
There is no such. And the Hindu overreaction is because of that.
नहीं, but Uday bhai, एक बात बताइए मुझे.
Hindus are also overreacting
Yeah.
in many ways, correct?
Yeah.
It is because of that.
Because,
there is no self-introspection.
I look at the Indian cricket team, for instance. I'm sure you follow Indian cricket. You look at the best fast bowlers from Irfan Pathan to now, the darling of India, Mohammad Siraj. इनको तो हम लोग नहीं मानते, इनको तो कोई नहीं कहता कि ये मुसलमान है, क्या है, ये तो मतलब they are heroes of an entire country, whether you're Sikh, Muslim, Isai, whoever.
Correct.
You go to Dubai, you watch an India-Pakistan match, you will not feel, it's Hindus, Muslims all living together.
Correct.
Why is it that only in India, the same Hindu and Muslim who stays in India may be distrustful of each other? You go to Dubai, they'll be sitting together.
The party responsible is Congress. You see, Congress, instead of encouraging a truly secular polity, Congress kept on appeasing Wahhabis and radical Muslims for the sake of votes. I personally believe the number of Wahhabis in this country at the time of partition was not more than 10 to 20%. What today, 40 to 45%, maybe 50%, we don't know. Not all Wahhabis are extremely radical, correct? People supporting terrorism are very few, even today. Let us take Kashmir. Now, Kashmir, about 3-4 people were involved, locals, in that Pahalgam incident. But there were 40 others who were saving pilgrims, Hindu pilgrims, Hindu tourists.
True.
You get what? I went to Kashmir recently. And all the taxi drivers were very, very, very disappointed, They said this Pahalgam has killed our business.
So, radical Islam getting the better of Islam in a sense itself. Islamic dominated territory.
Kashmir is a very good example. You see, on the strength of guns, 10% people were controlling 70%.
Right.
The moment the fear of gun was removed, they started coming out.
Okay, Uday bhai, let's see with that. Thank you so much for coming in and
Thank you
answering
so
these questions. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.